Hey everybody, and thanks for tuning in here. I am here with my very good friend Daniella in the new studio. It's all set up. Woo! It was sort of all set up. Lighting I was just a little bit frantic about just a second ago, and the angle of the camera and the tripods and all that kind of stuff. Don't really have that up yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. It's a lot further along than it was before. There was just like 3 days ago boxes all over the floor. So I went and cleared all that, and so it's a lot more comfortable to work and collaborate and that kind of stuff in here, which I'm hoping Danielle and I will doing quite a bit of collaboration in here and other things. So we can do like little mini classes.
I know. I love the energy in this room. It's excellent. Is this your first go at it in this new home?
Well, I did one a few weeks ago, but there was like boxes behind me when I did it. So I was like, yeah, look, I moved in. So it's just one of those things where kind of like it's unfolding and one step at a time. My last place, my second bedroom, I always wanted to be my office/studio, and it never quite worked out that way. Well, now I have a place that literally is just, that's all this could ever be, is it can't be a bedroom. So
it feels a lot better than the other one.
Yeah.
The other one was okay,
Yeah,
but
it's a good
this
place,
one has a great vibe.
Really, really enjoy being here in this place.
It's a beautiful room.
And it's really comfortable in here. So one of the things
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, you got a new place. I haven't even seen it yet. We need to come and see it.
Anytime, man.
So,
you guys dinner.
And we're going to be venturing out to Casadega. I was there a few weeks ago, but Danielle and Eric went there on the 24th.
Can't wait.
What we want to talk about tonight is something that Daniella actually was had kind of a shift over the weekend, right?
Absolutely.
And I don't know how much you want to talk about.
Oh, I'm open because I think if you really honestly share things, people get more out of it.
Yeah.
So we were talking about going through shifts, but before you know what's happening, you just know you don't feel well. And I don't mean physically, sometimes that's the case, but emotionally. You might feel empty, lonely, isolated. And I was going through that this weekend. So we set goals for ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. We're trying to work through things. And I've been hitting a lot of the marks, feeling good about that. Like Jared said, I moved about a month ago. Everything's going great with business. But personal life, big question mark. I've been putting so much energy, my focus on creating things that I lacked the balance, I guess is a great way to put it. Yeah. So Thursday, something fell in my lap to reach out to someone, and it's been a long time since I tried to enter into anything romantic, and I really didn't want to do it. I did and I didn't, and as I got pressed, it actually brought me to tears because the fear was so great. Like, oh my gosh, I don't really want to do this. I don't want to get burned. I don't want to lose who I am. I've worked very hard to get to this point, so I didn't want to lose ground. I didn't want to lose my boundaries, but I also knew I was being a coward. And whenever you get a trigger, that means go lean into it, not away from it. Safety is away, but with safety, you exist. Mm-hmm. You're not living, you're not creating, you're not experiencing. So I forced myself out of my comfort zone, even though that was a test, I would say. Would you say that?
Yeah, definitely a test.
It was definitely nothing healthy. Within 15 minutes of communicating, somebody wanted to jump in a car and come see me 2.5 hours away to just hold me and smell me. And I was like, what the heck? It was like, okay, have a good night. Have a nice life. And the whole point of doing that was very important because it gave me validation that I'm not going to lose myself, that I'm not going to be manipulated, and I'm going to do what's best for me, and not because, oh, I feel bad that person's alone, or it's their birthday and they want to hang out with somebody. I didn't even know this person.
Yeah, that was the funniest.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
It's my 15 minutes of my birthday tomorrow. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, it was definitely a red flag, and it made me very happy and proud that I recognized the red flags and wasn't having any of it. So that was very empowering. Mm-hmm. I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, even with my hair. That took a lot of guts to do that, but it's very empowering to have the guts to walk out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it feels really good. I'm a psycho, so everything is like reverse. Instead of being like, ah.
She's a psycho and she's sitting next to me.
I am. So that was this weekend, and that's how it started. And I was like, okay, I was proud that I did that. But as I went through the weekend, I don't know if other people are going through this a lot, where I felt like it's almost like you feel so alone, like you don't have any friends. And my friends, Jeremy and Sherry, people were popping into my head, and I would not allow myself to have the comfort to call them or go see them this weekend. Because I knew if I did that, I'd be avoiding what I needed to go through the process to feel it. And I did feel very lonely. And I thought most of my life I've had a good friend group. And I felt so alone. And I'm like, okay. As I walked with my puppy, I'm like, you're a manifestor, you're a creator. You don't like your life, do something about changing it. So Sunday night, I went home and I wrote a notebook page out. And even in the middle of the night, I started talking into my phone, like talk to text, leave myself notes. But the thing is, we realize, well, it helps because it's so much good stuff coming through that we'll lose it if you don't do something like write it down or record it. And what I realized, there were times in my life that I was so happy with friends and loved ones that there was no balance. And I've gone too much the other way of being alone, where I'm focused and driven. But I am reaching goals, but there's more to life. And that's where balance comes in. But we need to, and I'm not saying for months on end, but we need to feel the discomfort and to really listen, go inside and listen, what's wrong. And that's when I realized the whole point of me feeling so alone this weekend was because I always said to everybody, I like my life. Everything's going well. You know, I do enjoy it. Like, well, say before COVID, we were traveling a lot. We had a full plate. But there's still a corner of my life that's empty, a significant other. And this weekend proved to me, because I did sit in a sadness, that it would be nice to share things with someone, you know, go to a park with them or whatever, go away for the weekend, just even have dinner, I think, you know, just have, and yes, we have that in friendship, but sometimes we want a little more. And I realized I was being a coward because it was safe for me to just stick with work.
Right. But the same time, this wasn't a healthy interaction that this guy wanted.
Oh, no.
He just wanted, he basically just wanted what gay men call a grinder hookup. And, you know, and we call grinder in the gay world the whore GPS. And so, you know, because it has the how far they are from you type of thing.
Yeah.
So, but that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for a healthy companionship with somebody that you can interact with and share space with. And so I think that's what the name or the theme of the show is, or this episode is that too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. You know, even with friends, you could spend too much time with them. And, you know, I think
it takes over.
It takes over, and you're not focusing on the dreams that you have, or the things that you want to do, your goals, or the things that you're trying to manifest in your life. And so because of that, you get out of balance and you miss out on opportunities. And I've been just as guilty. I've been guilty of that myself, you know, where I'm focusing so much. I think that's why it was so important for me to get this space set up so I could have a place to collaborate or work and be creative, because my creativity is on, a lot of it is on the computer, writing and researching and reading books and stuff like that. So I really wanted a quiet place to work at, and something that was just my space to work. And so, you know, I know, you know, Sherry's going to be using this space too for clients and stuff like that, but I'm just saying, like, when I'm in here, this is my space to work. And so it's just one of those things where I think that's kind of what you're talking about. Is
well, because boundaries, even with that, like the space, because, you know, I've been a hermit.
Yeah.
Because I've been working a lot, which is great. That was the goal, right? But balance.
Right.
It seems like on a pin, right? Everything. It's something that at least for me, I have to stay on top of myself to recognize I'm not in balance.
Yeah, sorry.
Because it's kind of tricky when you look and you're like a lot of good things in your life.
Yeah.
So when it's bad, it's a little bit easier.
Well, right.
But when it's good, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, so people see like our posts on Facebook and on social media, like, oh, they have a really great life. And yeah, I guess I do have a good life. And with that being said, I also make mistakes, and I get out of balance, and I have depression, you know, that kind of stuff. Or it's not always depression, like loneliness that we were talking about, because I went through that in April, and where I was like, I laughed because I even mentioned on on here. You and I talked about it in our last show we did in April. And like, I thought everybody was pissed at me and all that kind of stuff. And so, but what that time is good for, like through chaos, the Buddhists believe through chaos we find enlightenment. And so, you know, we're always looking for, people say, I avoid drama like a plague. I don't want drama in my life at all, and I don't have any drama. I say those people are liars because they have to have some kind of drama. There has to be some kind of drama.
There has to be mess somewhere.
Yeah, adversity. You're not going to get into heaven or achieve enlightenment through everything being easy. It's not always going to be that way. And some people say, well, why does it have to be that way? Well, I mean, come on, I would be freaking bored if I didn't have.
Well, there's always that. Like we create the chaos and stuff. But don't you think, I find, because, you know, I've lived through some majorly chaos.
Yeah.
What I find is for growth, the way I responded to things changed as I changed. So instead of maybe getting angry or getting hurt, emotional, whatever, like going from 0 to 10, I started looking at things differently and maybe with a more compassionate, loving heart. Even when, like, in the past, it would have been like horrible. Like even with me getting the new place, there was a lot of stress there, but I didn't lose my compassion. And I knew the chaos helped push me to where I needed to go anyway. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, you can't avoid stuff, like you're saying. And sometimes I find it's your blessings, it's your best friend.
It is your best friend.
It gets you to that next level.
Yeah, and like I think that even like things that are stressful or opportunities, I was telling you about some opportunities that I had to express myself and stuff like that tonight. And so when I look back at those things, I'm like, well, what made me not do that? Well, it's because I overthought stuff. And then I was like, not just speaking in my heart or my mind. And interesting enough, energetically, if you don't speak your heart or mind, that gets clogged up in here.
You were having trouble with your throat at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember because I got sick for like almost a month with a sore throat.
Yeah, but even when we went away in February, I don't know when.
That was February.
Okay. Because I remember, and I'm like, are you sure it's not because you're not saying what you really feel? That's definitely real.
That was an interesting timing too. And then like we were manifesting travel. And literally we had like something booked every year where we were going to be gone.
Every month.
And so
like sometimes twice, right? Like,
yeah, sometimes twice. Like we were gone twice. I was gone twice in January because I had 2 things going on: the Mystic Fair, Waves of Light, and then we were gone to the place in South Carolina. And then I was
Sarasota.
We went to, and then Naples in March.
I mean, really, it was getting to the point it was almost every weekend.
Every weekend we were gone doing something, and we were loving it, and we were making money doing it, and
a hell of a lot of fun.
And we were having a heck of a lot of fun. And then I remember that when we went to South Carolina, I got back and I literally crawled into bed at 12:30 and passed out. I literally just passed out until the next morning. And all my luggage was sitting there. I had to get up and go to work the next morning. And so, but I was loving it. And so, and then COVID happened. And not that that's anything that I'm, you know, it is what it is. And, but what it did for me too, is it let me reevaluate some things. It allowed me to write some goals. Because if anybody knows me, I'm always a fly off the cuff type of person. And I've always been that way. I can just pull it out of my ass, so to speak.
That's true.
And so with that being said, until the moment, I don't even know what to say. You know, and I can, you know, and so, but in the moment, I'm like, and so, however, what it's done is helped me slow down.
I think it was necessary for us.
Yeah.
Because we were running fast.
Yeah.
And I did, when this went down originally, I'm like, we needed a pause.
Yeah.
Because we were kind of on autopilot, just because it was constant.
Yeah, and we were in trouble. I was going to get to the point where it was going to be trouble keeping up with that. I mean, with the 40-hour-week job.
I know. It was just because it's not like we just did that during the week. I mean, weekends. We were doing stuff during the week too, working.
Yeah, because I either had clients or I had this, or then we had all these applications that we had to get done.
Oh gosh, that too, right?
And then Sherry took care of a lot of the stuff for the expo stuff.
Yeah.
But then you had the Casey Institute.
It was just like being, like I got interviewed, like I'd have to do readings for people like ARA in Virginia and stuff like that. It's just, you know, it seemed like it was nonstop. We were doing something.
Yeah.
the online conferences already, even before this, right? We were doing that.
Oh yeah, I forgot about all the online conferences. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, we were having a lot of fun.
So I guess the message here for everybody is, if you start feeling anxiety or some kind of angst or some kind of whatever that is making you feel uncomfortable.
Just that uncomfortable, yucky feeling.
Yeah, instead of running from it.
Which is a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, it's a knee-jerk reaction. Nobody likes to feel that way. I mean, it's just
you want to avoid it.
Yeah, take that time and look at it. And if you look at it, that's really a blessing, because it's allowing you to see something. I mean, there could have been something that happened to you when you were 5 years old, and somebody just said something, you didn't even mean it, and you took it to heart. Like we were just talking about that at dinner too. We were talking about twins, and our friend has twins, and I was going to get something, and my roommate's like, well, if you get it for the one baby, you have to get it for the other, and they're both 7. And I was like, I'm the type of parent, I'll be like, well, not everything in life is fair, honey, and you got stuff the last time, and Daniella's like, we can't do that with kids, because they
I mean, some people do.
Yeah.
And if it really is, like the last time we went to the store, you got something, now it's her turn. That's different.
Yeah.
But
they have to understand that.
Yeah, but also, like, I think in that situation, it wouldn't have been good if you didn't get the second kid something.
Right, so she brings up somebody that had something or other, and I'm not going to go into details about it, but then years later, the person thought that the adult, the grandmother or whatever, didn't like them, didn't love them. And it was something, it probably wasn't the coolest thing for the grandmother to do, but literally held on to this for years. And so,
40-something years.
Yeah, and so I'm like, that's something I never even thought of. But the point here is that that's going to manifest, those pains are going to manifest in some kind of discomfort in your life. And so it'll be something when you're 35 and somebody says something, or when you're 25 and somebody does something, and it's going to make you feel uncomfortable or feel not loved or whatever. So that's an opportunity to go in and look and say, where's this all coming from? And if you really open yourself up, your psyche will go, you remember when you were 7? And
it will come to you.
Yeah.
You ask questions, the answers will come to you.
They will surface and they will come up. Yeah.
And I love how we talked about too much of a good thing. It started with friendships, how it can steer you off you. It could be relationships, it could be anything, right? Romantic relationship, friendships. But you brought it back to what we were doing.
Yeah.
It was a little bit too much of a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, right?
So I'm just like,
because it was great, but it was a bit of it was busy. It was crazy.
Being vain right now.
Your eyes look beautiful when you were looking a certain way where I was able to really see your eyes. I'm like, wow, his eyes look good.
I was just looking at my beard and going, I kind of like it.
You must have looked in the camera where I could really see your eyes.
Oh,
that's what I think happened. I like his eyes.
Yeah, my mother blessed me with those. So.
Oh, that's where you get them from?
Yeah, hazel eyes. So, and but I think I'd like to wrap up with I want to give kind of an exercise to everybody.
Okay,
it's the one I gave you the table. So I want everybody, whether you're listening to this in archive or you're listening live, I want you guys to do this. I want you to write down the 5 most important relationships in your life. Now, I'm not talking about names, like not Daniella, my friend, or so-and-so, my daughter. I want you to write down like friends, daughter, son, husband, wife, mom, dad, whatever, job, because technically that's a relationship. And so I want you to write down those things. I want you to just write them down. And then I want you to prioritize them. And then if you get anywhere over 5, like you get 6 or 7 or 10 or whatever, I want you to cross out anything that's not the top 5. Okay? And then I want you to look at that, and I want you to see, are you anywhere in that top 5? Because I didn't say you couldn't put yourself down there, because that's a relationship too. And if you're not in that top 5, I want you to stop and think about that. Because if you were number 1, does that mean that your relationship to your daughter or your son or your husband or your wife is not important? No, it doesn't mean that at all. It means that if you make yourself number 1, then what will end up happening is that you will be whole and fulfilled, and then you'll be able to give your whole and fulfilled self to your husband, wife, daughter, mom, dad, whatever, and you'll have a whole relationship. But the idea of this exercise is also to look at the law of attraction or goals or stuff like that. So because people always wonder, why am I not achieving my goals? Why am I not, doing the things that I want to do for me? And then the energy follows intentions. So if your energy is always into giving to other people, it's going to give experiences of giving to other people. If your energy is always about, I am always thinking about my children as opposed to thinking about myself, it's going to continue to give you circumstances and events that are going to give you exactly what you're manifesting and thinking about, and that's giving and doing things for your children. And so those are the things we have to think about. So and then what you have to do is like you write down all the goals that you have. And then if you write down all the goals that you have, then you write down all the blocks to that. And then you prioritize all of those from 1 to 10. And so now I want you to think about that list, because is the blocks a higher priority than your goals or the things you're trying to manifest? And if they are, and if the relationships are out of whack, then you're doing what is called cross-purposing. And if you're doing what is called cross-purposing, that's like putting one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake in your car. You're not going to go anywhere. And the reason being is because you're wanting to do this, but your energy and your focus is going into this. And that comes down to the old saying, energy follows intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and that's the reason why you're not achieving your goals. And by the way, this is a workshop that I'm working on right now. But it's I just thought, since I put it on my my workshop, I thought I'd talk about it here on the live show too.
No, that was good.
So,
but when you were talking about your whole self, once you make yourself that focus, when I made that shift, I think it was a couple of years ago. Like some of us, it's very dramatic because a lot of what you just explained, I call it unequal energy exchanges, where you're sending it out, and you're never a priority to yourself, ever. You're not important enough or whatever to yourself. So once I started doing that, putting my needs as a priority, I was very pleasantly surprised my relationships, like with the kids, improved. Like in different areas. And you have to have boundaries. You want to have healthy relationships, like in anything. I believe you have to have boundaries. You know what I mean? You don't want to be a doormat, and you're not teaching, if you have children, healthy boundaries. If you don't have boundaries, how are they going to learn them? Because a lot of times children mimic their parents, whether they want to or not. You know what I mean? If you're not fully awake, you will fall into that trap.
Well, we mimic our parents. I'm a lot like my mother. I mean, just the bookshelves in the back of the room they're basically a sign of my mother, because she loved her books. But the other thing, you bring up a really good point, because I was speaking with somebody today, and this person was talking about how they, they think that a lot of things that they are their mother. And it's interesting that came up, because that's another part of the actual workshop of the book.
Really?
Is this. There is what is called generational post-traumatic stress disorder. And so what that means is that in the Bible, it actually says we inherit the sins of our fathers. What that means is that so all of us sat in our mother's womb for 9 months, or 8.5 months if you're a preemie or whatever. It doesn't really matter.
And so, then there are those that won't get out.
Right. There's some that just won't leave at all. And the mom's like, I'm evicting you right now. Get out. And so, but the point here is that you sat in your mother's energy for that however long you were in her womb. So you picked up all of her stuff, all of her worries, all of her anxieties, all that energy. And so,
fears,
and then so all of her fears, everything. And then after you're out of the womb, you see how they model things. And so if there was always a lack, or if they were always spending and giving to other people, if they were never budgeting, all that other kind of stuff, if they were, didn't have a lot of goals in life, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter what it is. If they didn't cook much and they ordered out, it doesn't matter the circumstances. A lot of times you're going to pick that up. Now, there's some things that kids like go in the opposite direction of their
Right,
parents.
there's still
Yes.
free will. I was
There's
just
still free
thinking
will.
that because if you didn't like it, if you noticed it,
Yeah.
like a lot of what you just described with the overspending and giving to others.
Mm.
My mom was a giver.
Mm.
And knock on wood, no matter what my income was, I've been able to pay my bills. Like it's a priority first. You pay the bills. You don't go and have fun. Where my mom wanted to please my dad, so he would go into sadness and stuff like that. So she would want him to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the money would,
go towards him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Not that there was an overabundance, but that lack, and what do they call it? Depression mentality. My dad had that. So that one is tough to shed when you have it like in the family.
Yeah. Well, because that was imprinted on our family and on the psyche of those people.
Yeah, and it's a very strong one.
And so, especially like my grandmother was born in 1935, and so her parents lived through the Depression. My grandmother was born in the Depression, and so that passed on to my mother.
So my father is older than your grandmother. My father was born in 1929.
Well,
Big family though, we come from a big one. But yeah, like it's heavy duty, right?
Yeah.
Oof.
And it weighs on you. And so those are things that it can come to all of them. There's ways to heal that. There's ways to work through it. And that's something actually that Daniella and I do, is helping people with that. But it really comes down to you have to face it. And you can actually break that cycle, so to speak, in that energy.
In all different directions too, not just for you.
Yeah, all different. You can change it. When you change it, you can actually change it for the family too. Mm-hmm. And you change it somewhat for consciousness.
Yeah.
Because my teacher says the greatest disease in the country is codependency. And I tend to agree with her.
I was thinking that's a really great point. Great point. People with the codependency, it's like familiar, right? So they rather be an unhealthy because it's familiar than the unfamiliar and break out, right? And be independent or like just walk a couple of steps by yourself. Some people have to have somebody always there with them.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's not healthy because that's not love. A lot of people I think will misunderstand that for love.
No.
He loves me so much. He wants me there all the time. He doesn't like it when I leave or she, and it's like,
like,
that's not walking the path supporting one another.
You better give me some space, man, because you're really driving me crazy.
Yeah, but some people do mistake that for love.
Yeah, I know. I did the same
thing.
It's
like, whew.
I did the same thing. So interesting. So those lots of good stuff to talk about. Where were you're going somewhere soon, aren't you? Don't you?
You know what? I do have things coming up, but my brain is drawing a blank. Oh yeah, I have a local fair for Halloween weekend. Yeah. So hopefully that looks like it's gonna be fun. I just want to see people again. So yeah.
And then we are putting the deposits down on the 2022 cruise this month.
Okay, get it. That's good to know.
Yeah, just it's something I haven't really talked about a lot with everybody.
Okay, let me know so I can follow suit.
And then so that'll be February 28th of 2022 going out of Galveston. It's only a 5-day cruise this time. Instead of 7 days, we decided to go with 5. And so that'll be a really cool journey. We're going to be going to the same 2 places we were going to go last time. It's we're just not going to Honduras. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then I'm hoping that Danielle will be going to Casadega and speaking there soon.
That's part of why I want to go see Lewis.
Rescheduled. And then I think she'll probably be going to Camp Etna in Maine.
I was supposed to do that this month. It's just that I don't think they're doing classes yet.
Yeah, because of COVID. And then but I'm sure I'll be going there sometime next year as well.
So a lot of the places I think because I was supposed to go to Camp Etna, all this stuff, COVID.
Yeah. And I'll be doing some retreats in Pigeon Forge in March and May with my friend Deborah Macking. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. All right, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us for a little bit. If you're either live or you're going to be with us later on.
Thank you so much. Hope you had fun.